Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of my Projectionist vlog. My name is Eve, and for all of my regular viewers, I'm so sorry I have not made one of these in a few months, but now I'm back. So, thank you very much for tuning in, and today is the 2nd of June, 2020, and behind me is a policy trailer for my very first movie theater that I started working in, my very first movie theater chain that I started working in 20 years ago today. I can't believe it. 20 years. So look at that. United Artists Theaters. How awesome is that? They do not exist anymore. But you could see the signage above some buildings around the country. But anyway, I made something really cool, and I enjoyed making it. I had a lot of fun, and it was great revisiting the memories of my career in the theater industry, and I want to share it with you all. So grab some popcorn, grab a soda, just sit down and enjoy. Today is June 2nd, 2020, and it's around 6, I don't have a watch, but you know, it's just used to doing it. It's around 6 p.m., and 20 years ago today, around this time, is when I started my very first shift in the movie theater industry here in this building. I know it says Alamo Drafthouse, and I'll get to that later, but this movie theater was my very first movie theater that I ever worked in. I used to come here to watch movies growing up as a child. This was United Artists Movie Land, which was very famous in southern Westchester. And I remember where it's boarded up because of the lockdown, where it's boarded up, I walked through those doors, went in, got my uniform, got my name tag, and they put me to work. This was my very first shift, and I remember the first movie, they said, oh, you have to, one of the ushers is going to show you how to clean the theater. The first movie I ever cleaned was Big Mama's House, because Big Mama's House also opened up on the same day, June 2nd, 2000. So it was interesting, you know. It was my first shift. I was nervous. I wanted to make sure I did everything right. I remember the movies that we had playing here the day I started were two prints of Big Mama's House, 2 prints of Mission Impossible 2, which was in its second week. We had a print of a movie called Center Stage, and we were still showing, I think it was its last week, or it might have had one more week, we were still showing the very infamous Battlefield Earth with John Travolta. All the movies were busy. Mission Impossible 2 was huge. Big Mama's House was huge, but nobody was in Battlefield Earth. That was the one theater we didn't really have to clean. But that was my first summer, the summer of 2000. You know, we had Big Mama's House, MI2, trying to name them, Shaft, Perfect Storm, The Patriot, Scary Movie, the first Scary Movie, the first X-Men movie with Hugh Jackman, and Hollow Man. A lot of big movies. So the first 2 years in the industry, I did concession, popcorn, box office, and in the summer of 2002 is when I started doing film projection. Late July into early August, the first movies I ever ran on film were Men in Black 2, Halloween Resurrection, Triple X with Vin Diesel, and the list just goes on and on and on. I ran Bad Boys 2, the Matrix sequels, the first 2 Batman, Chris Nolan films, the first 2 Daniel Craig Bond films, and even as an usher, one of the busiest movies when I was an usher here that we had was Spider-Man, the very first Spider-Man. I mean, it was wall-to-wall packed in here. So this theater is very beloved to me, and I remember over here on that front wall, it said United Artists. And then in 2002, Regal bought out United Artists, and it became a Regal theater, but people still remember this place as Movie Land all the time. So now we're going to jump to the second theater I started working at in 2006. All right, I just came from Movie Land, where I worked there for about 8 years, but in 2006, I started working here at Regal New Rock City 18 and IMAX. I started running 35mm films, and the real challenge here is that instead of 6 theaters I had to run films for, I had 18 theaters to run movies for. Well, technically it was 17 because one theater was actually a digital projector, which I believe came here in 2005. Yeah, it was really challenging to run 18 screens on 35 millimeter film and stay on top of the schedule and everything, even though it was a platter system, but you know, I got the hang of it. So anyway, this is also the theater where I started learning how to run IMAX in 2007. The first movie I ran in IMAX was Spider-Man 2D, and the first 3D IMAX film that I ran was Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. So yeah, I've been here for a long time, 9 years. I ran lots of movies here on 35, a lot of big IMAX films like Dark Knight, plenty of Harry Potters in IMAX, Inception, Tron, Avatar, all that stuff. And I was also in the middle of my time here. This is the theater I was working at when the whole digital rollout occurred in 2010, and then we switched over to digital projectors. So I was pretty much taking care of those, which was kind of annoying. It was a little different. It was more like IT work. But I did also run any post-digital Nolan IMAX films like Dark Knight Rises and Interstellar. So this is a great theater. I worked here for a long time, met some great people, and then I eventually left in May of 2015. I had a bit of a hiatus in the summer of 2015, and then I went back to where I started. All right, so as I mentioned earlier, I'm pretty much back to a familiar place. I left New Rock May of 2015, took a little hiatus during the summer of 2015, and then in November of 2015, I came here to an Alamo Drafthouse, which after Regal closed its doors in 2012, they opened up here in 2013, so I kind of took a startup position, which was a server. And it wasn't a bad job. You know, it kept me afloat. It wasn't ideal, it's not what I wanted to do, but it kept me close to the movies, it kept me in the industry, it kept me going. So, and I worked here, and it was a unique place. It was different than Regal, it was different than Movie Land. They showed a lot of old films here. I had a lot more interaction with guests, and yeah, so it wasn't that bad. But it was very familiar to me because I knew the building so well prior to coming here again. So, but luckily, while I was working here at the Alamo Drafthouse, I was able to land consulting gigs. I got a consulting gig with IMAX at a Regal theater in Pennsylvania called King of Prussia, where I ran Dunkirk, and then I was able to find a part-time job running IMAX at the Maritime Aquarium. So that kind of kept me going, like back into the swing of things with film and digital and all that. And then now we're gonna move on to where I landed 20 years later. All right, so let's head there. All right, so behind me is the Jacob Burns Film Center, and this is where 20 years in the theater industry has led me to. I started working here in May of 2019 as a projectionist, operating digital movies and running archival 35mm films and first run 35mm films like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Little Women. This is a different kind of theater that I worked at because it's not really mainstream like New Rock or Movie Land or Alamo, but this is more of like the independent art theater world. I show a lot of different movies from around the world, a lot of independent films made by local filmmakers and international filmmakers. I run a lot of film festivals, do a lot of Q&As. I'm still learning much more in my field, even though I've been doing this for a very long time, but you're always going to keep learning for the rest of your life in the career that you've chosen. So I'm very lucky and grateful 20 years later to be doing what I love. I love this job. I've been through so much. I've seen a lot of things, ran so many different films. On top of mainly doing projection, you know, I've done management work, usher, concessionist, you name it. But here I am. Currently I'm not working due to the COVID-19 situation. I'm unfortunately furloughed, but I'm still with the company, so I'm still in the industry. But please support your local theaters and after this is all over, go to the movies. Let's get back to watching movies in the theater, the way we were before, all together as a group. And that day is going to come. So back here at my apartment, I just went out before showing you all the theaters that I worked at, and here's a wall of my movie posters. This is just a few of the many movie posters that I've held on to, for the 20 years I've been in the movie theater industry. Two of those over there I got off of eBay. That's a friend gave me the Cobra and the Total Recall I got a while back. But these two, I've held on to these two for a long time. I have the Casino Royale, which is from 2006. Daniel Craig's very first James Bond film. This is the teaser poster. I remember when this poster came out. This is when Da Vinci Code was coming out. That was when the teaser trailer for Casino Royale was going to premiere. And over here, this is I've held on to this poster for 20 years. This is Mission Impossible 2, Tom Cruise. This was the first big movie that was out when I started in the theater industry. So, yeah, it's pretty cool to have all these. I have to go through them to see which ones, I forgot which ones I've held on to. So, I trust they're in all good condition. I just rolled it up and left it in the tube, so. All right, let's go over here. Over here I have this glass shelf, an assortment of film trailers, a mix of ones that I've held on to, in the past 20 years. They kind of stopped making movie trailers around 2014, but I've held on to many trailers. I've also have a mix in there of trailers that I've gotten off of eBay. Over here I have some IMAX film and some documents and heads and tails cut off IMAX prints. And I have here, just like pieces of paper that came with film prints that I would assemble. See, like Batman Begins and Dark Knight Rises and stuff like that. So I'm pretty lucky to have held on to these. I think it's really cool that I've held on to these. One thing I really want to show you. This is my name tag from 20 years ago from United Artists Theaters. Look at that. It's pretty cool, huh? Yeah. I got that the weekend I started. So, but yeah, it's been a hell of a ride for 20 years. Ran a lot of movies. I've worked for a lot of movies and experienced the crazy business of certain movies. I've seen certain movies fail. Some actors star in movies when they just disappear. And I've seen the industry change, from film to digital, and now it's dine-in theaters, and especially now with the whole COVID-19 situation, there's a lot of streaming movies at home now versus seeing movies in the theater. So it's interesting, what I've seen change. So, but yeah, I'm very happy and grateful to have been a part of this industry for 20 years so far, and I look forward to 20 more. So, all right, everybody, thank you very much for watching. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and be sure to hit that notification bell to see more videos just like this. And comment, don't forget. Thanks again for watching. This is an 80s Die Hard production. Bye.